Hello and welcome back to Sci-Fi Tech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to convert a face shield into a low-budget sci-fi helmet with using a few simple parts. Let's get started. And these are the items you're going to need to make for this project. The items you're going to need: a face shield, some 12-volt LED strips, 2 slide switches, 2 9-volt battery clips, 2 9-volt batteries, and some Neodymium magnets. What I'm going to do is take these LEDs and simply attach them to the base of this helmet. And I also want to put some LEDs on the top as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more LEDs and place them in the inside of the helmet by placing them on the sides. And I also want to put some on top. Doing this will allow the LED light to shine brightly in the inside of the helmet. Doing this will give it a very interesting sci-fi look. First, I'm going to take the LED strip, get an idea of how big the LED strip needs to be. This looks like a good size. Cut the strip. And now I have the idea of the LEDs going right here. This looks very nice. And I also want to put the same length of the LEDs on top. And I'll cut the second strip of LEDs so that it's the same length as the first one. Next, measure the length of LEDs that need to go on the inside of the helmet. These ones are going to be slightly shorter, which will be perfect to put in the inside of the helmet. This one on top looks very good. And there, these LED strips are ready for the inside of the helmet. Spray some rubbing alcohol in the inside, which is actually very good to use because it cleans up very well and it dries up very well. Just simply clean off all the dust so that way the LED strips can stick to it better. There, nice and clean and ready for the LED strips. Next, solder tin all of the LED strips. And there, the LED strips are now solder tinned. Now figure out the position of where I need to place the wires in the LED strip. It looks like I need to solder tin the LED strip right here, so that way I can be able to attach wires to it and put the wires in the inside of the helmet. Solder tin the LED strip right here. Next, figure out where the 9-volt battery needs to go. It looks like right here is a very good spot. Or possibly over here. And the idea is to run the wires from the 9-volt battery going down between the helmet and the shield. Next, solder tin the leads of the slide switches. Next, cut off the unnecessary lead of the slide switch. And also cut off the ends of the slide switch because in my opinion, I think it looks nicer without them. And now take the wire and place it through. Carefully push the wire through in between the helmet and the face shield. Going underneath, just like this. Goes through, just like this. Next, remove the insulation on the end of the wires. And now solder tin the wires. Next, solder the wires over to the LED strip, soldering positive to positive, negative to negative. And there, as you can see, the LEDs work. Next, pull on the wires to move the LED strip into place and to be able to hide the wires better, so that way there's less wires sticking out. Next, remove the protective paper that is on the LED strip to reveal the sticky adhesive, so that way you can stick the LEDs directly to the helmet. There, this looks very nice. Press down on the LED strip to make sure it sticks in place better. And there, it should look just like this. Make a quick test by plugging it in to see how it looks. Ah, this looks very nice. And now repeat the same process with the top part of the helmet. Before I do that, I want to position it just right and then take a marker and mark the position of the LED strip. Doing this will make it easier to get the idea of how long the wires need to be. Take a wire, place it on the mark, and then stretch out the wire and follow the perimeter of the helmet. Remove the protective paper to reveal the sticky adhesive to stick it to the helmet. Place it on carefully. Press it down to make sure it stays in place. And there, this looks very nice. And I'll take that same wire and make sure that it's the correct length. The idea is to tuck it on the side so that way you don't see the wire. And so far it looks good. Next, remove the insulation on both ends of the wire. And now solder tin both ends of the wire, and I'll solder the wire over to the negative of the LED. And I'll take the wire, tuck it into place. So far this looks good. Next, take some super glue to glue down the wire so it stays in place more secure. Carefully try not to get the glue onto the face shield because it might discolor it. Put a small amount so it sticks in place. Spray some activator. And there, the super glue is now cured. And now the wire so far is stuck in place. And I'll take the wire and continue passing the wire underneath, hiding the wire perfectly. And I'll place some more super glue on the wire so it stays in place. And there, the wire stays in place and it will not unravel. Wait for it to cure. And there, it is now cured. And I'll continue doing the same thing. The wire was a little bit too long, so shorten it. Remove the insulation on the end of the wire. Solder tin it. And then solder to the second negative of the LED. And there, it should look just like this. And now repeat the same process with the second wire, connecting positive to positive. And there, the circuit is now complete. Let's go ahead and test it out. Plug in the 9-volt battery. And there, as you can see, it works. And now let's go ahead and work on the LEDs on the interior of the helmet. I realize this LED strip needs to be solder tinned on both ends. Simply solder tin it like this, so that way I connect battery over here and then link wires over here to the second LED strip, so that way they're connected. Solder tin the LED strip like this. And the idea is to connect the battery from here. The current will flow over here to this LED strip and then continues to this LED strip. So I need to connect the wires, connecting them together. Take this LED strip, stick it to the side right here. So far it looks good right here, and I'll take a wire and run it from that LED and estimate how long it needs to be by connecting to the center LED. So far this looks good. This right here is the center. So this LED is the center as well, so I want to make sure it's perfectly centered. And the wire goes right here, so I need to cut it right here. Give a little extra so that way I don't make a mistake. And I'll take a second wire, measuring out from the first wire, so that way they're both the same length. Cut the wire, and now I have two wires that are the same length. And I'll repeat the same process on the opposite side to get an idea of how long this wire needs to be. So far the length is about the same. And now I cut the second wire. And there, now I have 4 wires about the same length, connecting the LEDs together. Next, remove the insulation on both ends of the wires. Next, solder tin the wires. Next, solder the wires to the LED strips so that way all 3 of the LED strips are connected together. And there, the LED strips are now connected together. Next, take a 9-volt battery clip and connect it to the LED strip. Connect positive to positive, negative to negative. And there, the circuit is now complete. Let's go test it out. And there, as you can see, it works. The LED strips light up. And now it's time to take the LED strips and stick them into place. Starting with the center one. Place it in just like this. Make sure it stays in and make sure it's positioned just right. Press down so it stays in place better. And I'll put the side LEDs into place. And there, she'll look just like this. As you can see, the wire's a little too long. That's okay, I can just simply tuck them in and then glue them into place. Take some super glue, glue them into place. And there, the wires are now glued into place. And there, she'll look just like this. And now let's go test it out and see how it looks in the dark. As you can see, this looks amazing in the dark. Very nice, and it's actually very bright too. Okay, so now I want to place a 4th LED strip and place it on the inside of the helmet. I think it will look very nice by placing it on the bottom, so that way it can shine upwards. I want to connect a wire from this LED to this LED, and I need to solder tin this LED very carefully, being very careful not to melt the plastic. And now take a wire and measure it to see how long I need to make the wire to connect from this LED to the other. And this is where I need to cut it. Give a little bit of extra, so that way I don't make it too short. And now solder the wire over to the positive and then the other wire to the negative. Next, remove the protective paper to reveal the sticky adhesive that is on the back of the LED. Clean this area up a little bit. And now take the LED and put it into place. Carefully. And there, she'll look just like this. And now connect the positive to positive. And then connect the negative to negative. Next, add some super glue to keep the wires into place. Add some more super glue to hold that wire into place. And there, she'll look just like this. And now it's time to test it out. Take the 9-volt batteries and plug them in. And there, as you can see, the LEDs in the inside lights up. Now what I need to do is take the battery, figure out the position of where I need to place it, take a pin and make a mark where the battery needs to go. And now do the same thing with the second battery. This looks good. Next, what I need to do is place some neodymium magnets where the battery goes, so that way the battery can stay in place. Next, add a line of super glue that is the same size as the battery. Next, take the neodymium magnets and put them into place. But you have to be very careful because the neodymium magnets like to stick to each other, so they're not going to cooperate very easily. And as you can see, they stick together. That's something you have to be careful of. And now spray some activator and glue them into place. Wait for the glue to cure. And now take the 9-volt battery and place it onto the neodymium magnet, and there, as you can see, it stays in place. And now repeat the same process on the opposite side. And there she'll look just like this. What I realized is I actually don't need the slide switches because the 9-volt battery clips can act like a switch. All I have to do is connect one connection of the 9-volt battery clip, leave it open like this, which means it's like a switch being open. And then all I have to do is just simply move it over and connect it to the 9-volt battery, and then disconnect it like this, and then connect it, and then disconnect it. It turns on and off just like a switch. A very easy way to make a switch out of a 9-volt battery clip without the need of slide switches. And there, the project is now complete. And as you can see, it is now complete. Let's go ahead and test it out. Simply put it on, just like this. And now, with the two batteries, I can either turn just these lights on, or the lights on in the inside. I can turn them on separately from each other, or both of them on at the same time. For example, let's go ahead and turn on the lights from the outside. And as you can see, it works. You can see how the lights shine from underneath and shine from on top. And you can see that the lights look very nice. Very practical. It doesn't blind me. I can see perfectly fine. And I can see how it lights up everything. It's very bright and very useful, which makes it very practical. If I want to be able to do things in the dark and I want the safety of doing something without hitting myself in the face with, or if I'm like cutting something, angle grinder, or anything that I can imagine that involves things flying in my face, I'm protected and I can do it in the dark and I can see what I'm doing. So if I wanted to, I can just turn it off like this, and then turn on the other one and I can make it look like a space helmet. As you can see, it looks very sci-fi. I can even adjust it a little bit more by putting it like this, and it will shine better. Well, yeah, it works just fine. Now what I'm going to do is turn off the light, and that way you can see just my face. And there, as you can see, my face is glowing. Part of my neck and my face is only glowing. And as you can see, it lights up just like this. This looks very sci-fi. This looks like a space helmet, exactly something that you would see in a movie, or one of those sci-fi type movies. And the interesting thing is I can see pretty well through it. These lights are not bright enough to blind me because they're not directly in my eyes. They're just on the side of along the side of my face, going behind my ears, my chin, top of my head, so I can see perfectly fine. Now I can easily turn the other light on and have both of it turned on. So this way, I can be able to see everything very well in the dark. Wow, I can actually see everything very well in the dark. With these lights, they're not causing much of a glare from the inside, so I can still see outside very easily, and the lights from above allows me to see even better. So everything will look in the dark looks very nice. So as you can see, this works very well. And now let's go outside in the dark. Let's see how well it lights up in the dark. While I'm testing this out in person, it actually looks a lot brighter. However, looking at this through the camera, it's not very bright because the camera has auto exposure, which doesn't make everything look very bright. But as you can see, when I get close to something, it lights up very well, and if I stand from a distance, it kinda lights up, but not very well because it doesn't go very far. It's very good when you're up close to something, which means this device is very handy if you plan on using a power tool outside, such as an angle grinder, or maybe you're hammering a rock, or maybe you're using a chainsaw cutting wood, or whatever activity that requires you to be outside in the dark and needing face protection at the same time. And there you have it. Now you know how to convert a face shield into a low-budget sci-fi helmet with using a few simple parts that can also be a useful tool, or a useful costume idea, or a very useful costume prop. Thank you for watching Sci-Fi Tech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified of future Sci-Fi Tech videos. Till the next tech, goodbye.